Howdy folks. Today we are continuing our Buyer's Guide series with a look at the second tier of starter package ships. Now we looked at the Mustang Alpha and the Aurora MR previously. Today we're going to compare the Anvil C8X, Drake Cutter, the Origin 100i, Aegis Avenger Titan, and the Gattax Syulen. We'll also cover upcoming ideas and videos at the end, so stick around till then for updates. But let's dive into these ships. Now, I was honestly torn on where to place most of these ships in terms of tiering the starter packages. Performance-wise, the C8X, Cutter, and 100i are not any better than the Mustang Alpha or Aurora MR, and are by far less durable in a fight. The Avenger Titan is currently sitting really high in ship combat meta, and also the price point for the Syulen is really shifting the curve upwards for this tier. However, I looked at the qualifications for where I felt all of these ships should lie, and they had one thing in common: a small cargo grid. Versatility is the name of the game for this collection of ships. Now with that said, this group has the widest gap in quality from top to bottom. The Anvil C8 series of ships were designed to be partner shuttles for the Anvil Carrack. Some of the pros for this ship are its fantastic flight profile and atmosphere, Star Trek shuttle vibes, and its small size allowing it to fit places that not all of its competitors can. Its cons are the incredibly weak hull, limited firepower, and overall lackluster speed and acceleration. Now it is cheap, being $60 for the starter package, $45 standalone, and the cheapest starter ship to buy in-game for just $515,970 Alpha UEC, and that's at Astro Armada in Area 18 on the planet Arccore. Now some personal notes: the C8R variant is a great ship, while the plain C8 is almost identical to the C8X. The C8X has a very short claim time, as most of the starter ships do. Having a ramp at the rear allows you to fit a pulse in the back, but it's going to be a real tight fit. The cargo grid is in a nice spot here in the back and allows you to fit 4 SCU of cargo without bumping into other things. Additionally, there are 2 jump seats to carry a couple of friends to do bunkers, or maybe have some extra foot security for delivery missions if you guys are just trying to get a feel for things. But there's not any true multi-crew functionality to this ship. It's a single person pilot. There's no turrets or anything. Overall, this is my second lowest rated starter out of all of them due to its ship combat limitations. It only mounts 4 size 1 guns, has a few small missiles, a very weak hull. It's just not good in a fight, and I know that that's not anywhere near an end all be all, but for a starter ship it should be able to do a little bit, and I honestly don't feel comfortable taking this even to LRTs with how oddly the servers perform at times. You know, if you bump into anything on the nose, your ship's gone, and it's just a pain in the butt, and that's not the experience I would want new players to have in their first ship, especially when they spent real money to fly. Now, I do want to say, purchasing this standalone or in-game to supplement your fleet with a quick claim time ship is actually a great idea. Also, if you have a Carrack or you buy a Carrack in-game, this is a fantastic ship to have along with it because it fits perfectly in the hangar. Gives you a little bit of extra space to, maybe store some FPS gear in the hangar on your Carrack. That's just a nice little thing. Although, honestly, I would recommend going the C8R for the Carrack because it's just a perfect match. With all that said, I just think there are substantially better ships to pledge for your game package. It's just the truth. And let's get to the next one. Next up is the Drake Cutter. Now, I wanted to hate this ship. I really did. I wanted Drake to make one ship that I don't immediately fall in love with, but they got me again. For new players who aren't looking for purely ship combat but want to enjoy that explorer lifestyle living out of their ship, this is the best one to go for to start off. It boasts one of the nicer, fully furnished interiors, and this ship seems designed for long tracks of seeing what's out there that doesn't have a quantum beacon on it. Some of its pros, obviously the interior. It has true VTOL capable engines for surface exploration, has the strongest hull HP of its tier, and the visual aesthetics of a Beetle when viewed from the top. Some of its cons: it is by far the least maneuverable of all the starter ships. It has the weakest firepower options, and it is painfully slow when it's actually engaged in combat. Now, a distinction has to be made about the difference between combat agility and flight profile. Some of the most agile combat ships are still a chore to fly because of their inherent jumpiness, and other ships that have subpar agility feel rather ponderous when maneuvering. The cutter feels smooth in all aspects, and it won't chase an arrow down from behind, but it also won't drift itself into a cliff face due to crosswinds either. It is very comfortable to fly, reminding me of my first full-size truck in real life. The rear cargo area is well designed for rapid movement and can hold a PTV or a Pulse with ease, maybe even an STV, though I haven't tested that in recent patches. Now, the cutter can be purchased for $60 in the starter package, $45 standalone, and in-game for $625,040 Alpha UEC at New Deal in Lorville on Hurston. Overall, the cutter is a very pleasant ship experience, but one that will not appeal to everyone. On to the Origin 100i. Now, I'm going to come out and say that I hate everything about this ship. It's faux luxury, its pitiful performance, and most of all, its highly inflated price. Speaking of price, it's $65 for the package, $50 standalone, and an absurd 1,146,600 Alpha UEC, in-game at Astro Armada and also at New Deal. Now, some of its pros: it does look cool. It has 2 size 3 weapon hardpoints. It is interceptor tuned for agility. And it does have a cargo grid that's in a cool little hidden compartment. Cons: it has one of the weakest hulls in the game, with only a bit more than half the hull HP of the already weak C8X. And that's paired with only one size 1 shield, meaning there are legitimately ships that can cripple it with just a shot or 2, and destroy it with just 3 or 4. Now, it is fast, but its acceleration is just average, so it will take a bit longer than desired to get to SCM speed. While yes, it does have larger guns, it only has 2 of them, and their mounting location on the wings tends to get them shot off, or more likely knocked off when an NPC rams you, leaving the ship defenseless and most likely spinning into oblivion. Now, it does have the lowest cargo capacity of all the non-combat dedicated starter ships, with only 2 SCU, and it is hidden in this cool little compartment right inside the door, which is kind of cool. But there's no scenario where I recommend this ship over any of its competitors. Yes, it has a bed, but no bathroom, no kitchenette, so the Explorer function is fairly limited. I mean, for $5 less, you can get the cutter, which has a superior experience and the one thing the ship can do alright, which is exploration. For $10 more, you can get quite possibly the best balanced ship in the game, the Avenger Titan. If you're buying standalone, the 300 series is only $10 more and is a vastly superior ship, though it does still have some glaring flaws. I'd say that I'm sorry if I offend anyone with my clear dislike for the lower tier Origin ships, but to be honest, it's more and more warranted the more that I learn about them and use them. Coming in as the clear best of its tier, the Aegis Avenger Titan. Now, this is the one ship. If I could only have one ship in the game, this would probably be the one. It fights like a demon, and then afterwards can pick up any presents that the enemy dropped. And while 8 SCU of cargo is not a huge amount, it is definitely enough to make a tidy profit for the discerning trader. Now, being interceptor tuned gives this an edge in 1v1 fights against most other ships and makes this a fantastic choice for bounty hunting. And it really shines from LRT to HRT. Now, when it comes to cost analysis, value of ships, to be honest, nothing is even close to the Titan. The starter package is $75, the standalone is $60, and in-game it is 1,358,280 Alpha UEC at New Deal in Lorville. Now, it's worth every credit for sure, and if you aren't sure about buying it, you can even rent it in-game and take it for a test spin. The Titan has a quick claim time like its other starter ship competitors. And one of the things that makes the Titan such a great ship is that it has 2 points of entry. There's the ramp at the rear for cargo, and you can open the pilot canopy and use the ladder at the front to go in from the front if the rear is completely full. Now, it can carry a pulse or two, even a PTV, though it's a pretty tight fit. While it doesn't have the interior space of a cutter or even maybe a 100i, it does have a bed for bed logging and makes functional use of its interior space. Now, unlike most ships, its stock loadout is very capable. Ignore the NPC ship flying around. I'm here in Armistice outside of Lorville, and it's spawned. He's been circling me for 20 minutes, and I can't get him to chase me out. But back to the matter at hand, having 2 Omni-Sky laser weapons and the Revenant ballistic repeater give this a very balanced approach, allowing you to use the ballistics to really melt opponents quickly and the Omni-Skies to reduce their shields, is what we'll say. The Omni-Skies are actually really well balanced. I'm just not really into them in general. I don't know why. It's just never been my deal. They are actually really good right now in the meta. Now, what's neat about having a good loadout from the start is that you don't have to waste credits on day 1 upgrades to use a ship for combat. You can save up a bit to get there. The ship has a healthy 11,900 hull HP and boasts 2 size 1 shields, giving it double the shield protections of the ships we've covered so far. Now, when comparing the flight model to other fighters, it does have some unique aspects. Being interceptor tuned, it is very fast in a straight line with a 260 meter per second SCM speed. While it doesn't have the absolutely elite turning prowess of some high-end fighters like the Gladius or the Arrow, it does turn well, and even in some ways turns better than some other fighters. I will say, in certain atmospheric conditions, it can be difficult to turn when you're at full speed. I do find, though, if you reduce speed to 200 or so, which is still faster than most of the ships you're going to be fighting, it turns fairly well in all atmospheric conditions. Just keep an eye on it. If you start feeling it float one way or the other, quickly shift your center of axis, and that should fix that pretty well. Now, the boost might not be as absolutely powerful as some other fighters, but it is also a much slower burning boost, allowing you to boost for longer, which can be very beneficial for flipping your sights to a new target or for a rapid change in direction. Overall, the Avenger Titan is just the superior starter ship out of all of them, and it is absolutely worth the upgrade price, either in real life or in-game. In my opinion, it is just an absolute must-have ship for any Star Citizen player, and it doesn't matter what your preferred game loop is, you can make use of the Avenger Titan. Our last ship today is also the most recent starter package to be released. The Gatak Syulen, and I'm not sure if that's pronounced right, and I don't overly care, is a strange beast of a ship with origins in the Xi'an Empire. This is the only non-human designed starter package ship, and it definitely has some unique design choices. With 6 SCU of cargo space, 3 decks, 3 size 3 weapon hardpoints, a lush interior, and respectable speed and agility, the Syulen is a very capable ship. However, there are some caveats. It is always a VTOL ship through and through, meaning that it lands upright just like this, with the nose of the ship pointed straight up in the sky. Now, this is cool and not a huge deal, but it can be a nightmare for new pilots to take off, and even worse to land. Now, I've spent probably 3 or 4 hours flying one around since they came out, and it still takes getting used to every time I go back to it from any other ship. This is not a deal breaker by any means, but it truly can be problematic and probably shouldn't be someone's first ship. Now, the cargo is mounted externally on those little racks sitting between the lander legs, which once again is cool in concept and it does look cool, but your cargo is also highly vulnerable to theft at all times in this ship. Now, while it doesn't have the brute force of the Titan or the blistering speed of the 100i, it is more agile than the 100i and can mount a respectable amount of firepower. It is slightly less durable than the Titan, with 11,740 hull HP, and it also mounts 2 size 1 shields for 3,000 shield HP total. Now, the interior has some interesting features. On the lowest deck, we have component storage, and it's hidden in these little racks. I will say one of the things I really don't like about this ship is the buttons just don't seem to work very well on a lot of the little doors. Like I'm clicking it and it's just laughing at me, which is fine. Along with the component storage, we have weapons racks over here. I haven't actually put anything on. I don't use this ship very often, I'll be honest. I do like it, but I just my Star Citizen time is rather limited, so I don't spend much of it in this. There is an EVA suit locker for when that comes online. One of my gripes I'm going to continue to harp on is these buttons, because while yes, it does have the English in there, look how far you got to zoom in to read it. Now, the second deck is the living space, and we've got a restroom, all that, which is good. The bed, which actually looks really nice. I really like that little stone look above it. It's just a neat little addition. A little desk here, and if these buttons will function, which I guess is too much to ask for. Overall, pretty neat little experience. Our final deck is the cockpit area. Now, I personally don't like the lavender. I like it aesthetically, but everything being purple is just a bit of a color clash with the standard colors for other things. So while the red there sticks out fine, it can kind of wash out the light blue and white markers, making it a little difficult at distance to tell people's intentions. As you can see, you're facing straight up. It's just a weird experience coming from other things. Now, as always, the alien tax is evident in the pricing. It's $85 for the package, $70 standalone, and 2,778,300 Alpha UEC at Astro Armada. Yikes. Overall, I do actually like the ship quite a bit, but I would not recommend this for the first-time buyers or new players. And if I'm being honest, the Titan is still just a much better and cheaper option to upgrade your starter package to or for your initial starter package. Small side note here, I had intended to do a buyer's guide section for the fighter starter packs, because when I started writing the script for this, there were 3 options for that, but currently the only fighter on offer for a starter pack is the Anvil Arrow. And while it is a fantastic fighter, I really don't recommend it for a starter ship by itself, so we will be covering it in our next section, which is the last part for our starter ship series buyer's guide. Now, this has been Heimdall's Starter Package Buyer's Guide Part 2. Deuce? I don't know, I don't speak French. Now, I'm really enjoying making content for you guys again, and the response has been fantastic. Now, if you like what we're doing, please hit that like button, tap subscribe, and click the bell icon for notifications. A bit of house cleaning before we go. We're continuing to work on new content, and we have one more of these starter package guides to go, and then we're shifting focus to a new project, a single seat fighters buyer's guide. Boy, man, I gotta figure out different ways to word this. That is a mouthful. But that's going to be a blast to cover, and hopefully you all enjoy it as well. On that note, I am going on a family trip starting the 13th of July, and I'm unsure if I'll be able to release any content until I return on the 23rd. So I'm going to do my best. I am taking my computer. I don't know about the internet connection where I'm going to be. Might not be all that great. We'll find out. The channel is growing, and we must be doing something right because our metrics indicate that we have a strong audience engagement, which is my favorite thing about this channel. The comments, the suggestions, both for the video content or the quality, or just generally chatting about things, makes it so worth it, makes it so much fun to do. So keep them coming, folks. If you have any suggestions, questions, thoughts, concerns, share them below. Now, this has been Eyes of Heimdall. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you all out there in the verse.